UFC Perth takes place this weekend, and in this video, I'm going to be giving you my exact predictions for every fight on the card, so let's get into it. First off, let's go over how we did last week at UFC Noche. We went 6-8 on picks. Not my best picking week whatsoever. Senzanato in the first fight, you know, we took the tough underdog. Turns out he wasn't tough enough. We took Alice Pereira. She should have won, in my opinion. Montserrat Rendon put the pressure on her, but I think Pereira should have won. Claudio Puelles, bad pick. Rob Font, you know, I thought he would win a veteran decision. Turns out David Martinez actually might be goated. Jared Gordon got hit by a car the previous day. Didn't tell anyone. So I'm not sure what I'm supposed to do there. Gene Silva in the main event. I thought he was on pace to winning a decision low-key. I know he got 10-8'd in round 1. But if he just didn't do all the crazy funky stuff that he usually does, I think he would have won a decision. I think that was actually a pretty good take. I think Diego Lopez's durability was good enough to outlast the decision. I mean, Lopez won straight up, so there's that. As for bets, we actually won 13.26 units, guys. You would think with the picks being 6-8, like how can we possibly make a profit? Well, I'll tell you how. 10 units on Jesus Aguilar plus 172, baby. If Rob Font had won, we would have been up 20 plus units because we needed him as our third leg of our parlay. We also hit on Santiago Luna. That was free. So this just goes to show you that even when the picks don't smack, you have to tune into the betting video because the bets are smacking. First fight of the card is Loma Lookboonme taking on Alexia Thainara. As for the styles of these fighters, Loma Lookboonme is coming from a Muay Thai background. She does mix in takedowns. She does throw a lot of leg kicks. Alexia Thainara, she comes from a grappling background. She, of course, also mixes in takedowns, and she also is a big leg kicker. So we basically have a striker versus a grappler. As for reasons to pick Loma, you might want to because she has the UFC experience upside. You know, this is Alexia's second UFC fight. Loma has more than 5, I believe. She will be the better striker in terms of power and accuracy. Like I said, she mixes in takedowns as well. She also has a pretty good takedown defense, and Loma herself is on a 4-fight winning streak. As for Alexia, she will have the height advantage and the reach advantage. She will throw with more volume, so if this goes to the decision, I'm anticipating Alexia being able to win that if it stays standing. And for women's MMA, she's a pretty good finisher. She's got 8 submission wins of her 12 wins. As for reasons to not pick Loma, she does have questionable takedown defense. It is 73%, but people that want to take her down usually have success taking her down. As for Alexia, you might not want to pick her because it's really her only second UFC fight, and we're not really sure how she deals with adversity. She just ran through her last 2 opponents, so if Loma gives her any adversity whatsoever, maybe Alexia will not win this one. But as for the pick, I have no choice but to pick the favorite, Alexia Thainara. I think she's going to win a decision, but I wouldn't be shocked to see her pull off the submission. So Alexia, if it stays standing, I think she'll throw more volume. And if she gets the takedowns, I think she could find the sub. I like Alexia moneyline. I like Alexia to win by decision. Next fight on the card is Brando Pericic taking on Elisha Ellison. As for the styles of these guys, Brando is a city kickboxing guy, so you know he's going to have powerful striking, and you know he's got some sneaky grappling. As for Elisha, he's a powerful striker and a decent grappler. Elisha also trains with Chase Hooper. He's finished all 5 of his wins. He even has a submission on his resume. He mixes in takedowns at a high clip, and his nickname is Snack Panther. So if you were to pick based on nickname alone, I don't know how you can pick against a Snack Panther. As for Brando, he also has finished all 4 of his wins. He will be huge in the cage compared to Elisha, and he's the hometown fighter since we are at UFC Perth. What I don't like about Elisha is his durability is a question, all right? In his 1 loss, he pretty much got flatlined. It was bad by a no-name regional can. So if Brando puts pressure on Elisha early, I think Brando wins by round 1 KO. However, if this goes into round 2, both fighters will have gas tank issues. If this goes into round 2, I'm anticipating Elisha having a lot of takedown success. If this doesn't get finished in the first minute, Elisha Ellison is the play to make. Brando Pericic only has 5 career MMA fights, and all of them that went into round 2, he lost. He looked completely gassed, not good at all. When someone mixes the grappling on him, he does not do well. And Elisha, since he trains with Chase Hooper, I'm going to take the shot that he's going to mix in the grappling, and I'm taking Elisha Ellison, the plus 190 underdog, to win this by submission. There is a very big concern that Brando can just knock out Elisha with the first cross that he throws down the middle. But if Elisha mixes in takedowns like I think he will, that is the game plan. I think he can get them, and I think he'll eventually find the sub on Brando. Brando also has a sub loss after all, so 1 + 1 is equaling 2 here. Next fight on the card is Luana Carolina taking on Michelle Montague. As for their styles, Luana is mainly a striker. She does have the ability to mix in takedowns, and Michelle is mainly a grappler. She's got 6 professional wins. All 6 of them have come by submission, and she went 11-2 as an amateur, and her only losses have been by decision. As for why you would want to pick Luana, well, she is on a 3-fight winning streak, all as an underdog. Her last 3 fights, underdog, underdog, underdog. Last 3 fights, WWW. Luana, she will have the UFC experience upside. She's fought in the UFC multiple times. This is Michelle's debut. She was 4-0 at PFL, 1-0 in Bellator, but honestly speaking, she was fighting top-tier cans. She does train at American Top Team, so that's good. And if this gets to the ground, Michelle Montague will most likely get the submission. But Luana Carolina has been showing some pretty good takedown defense in her recent fights. She didn't really show it that well in her early UFC run, but lately it's hard to take Luana down. Also, this is a bigger cage. This is in front of a crowd. This is not the apex. So the grappler, therefore, will already be at a disadvantage. If this stays standing, Michelle's striking, based on what I've seen, is not good at all. She will throw at low volume. She throws with low power. She is basically banking on getting the takedown at some point in the fight. Luana, if she doesn't get taken down, this is her fight to lose. She will win every moment standing. She even has the ability, I think, to find a knockout in this fight. So for all those reasons, I think you guys already know where I'm heading with this. I'm going with Luana Carolina, the underdog, to win by decision. Yet another underdog picked back-to-back on the card. Luana is just simply a good underdog to pick in any Luana fight. Next fight on the card is Colby Thicknesse taking on Josias Musasa. I do have a long breakdown here, but I'm going to do a long story short and say both of these guys are 0-1 in the UFC. So right off the bat, that's not a good sign. Josias Musasa was on the Contender Series and won a split decision. And in my opinion, I watched it back. I think he clearly lost that fight. He was getting taken down at will. He wasn't landing big shots. He was mixing in his own takedowns, but they weren't that good. It just seems that if Colby Thicknesse doesn't get knocked out early, he should win this by any means. I don't think Thicknesse has KO power. He does have good volume striking, and he has some sneaky jiu-jitsu chops training with Volk and training with Craig Jones in that camp. Besides, Musasa also just got submitted by Carlos Vera in his last fight after nearly getting KO'd by a head kick. So I'm very concerned about Musasa's durability. I love the upside of Thicknesse's BJJ. So for all those reasons, I'm actually taking yet another dog shot. We're going with Colby Thicknesse to win this by submission. I think he will mix in the grappling early. He knows that's his main path to victory. I don't think Musasa is that good whatsoever. He has 7 wins by KO, but once he got a step up in competition, he's gone to a decision and he got submitted. So I'm liking Thicknesse, plus 130, mix in takedowns, brother, and you should win this fight. Next fight on the card is Jamie Mullarkey taking on Rolando Bedoya. Once again, I have a long breakdown here, but I'm not going to bore you with, an extremely long one. I'm going to say, do not bet this fight, okay? You can pick it, sure, but do not put your money anywhere near this, all right? Jamie Mullarkey has no durability, but he's only really lost to good guys. If he were to lose to Rolando Bedoya, this would be his worst loss on his resume by far. As for Bedoya, he's 0-3 in the UFC. He went down a weight class, looked even worse against Jai Herbert. Bedoya will have the volume advantage, but Jamie Mullarkey, I think, can mix in takedowns low-key. I think Jamie Mullarkey will land the bigger shots, so that'll look good for the scorecards. And Jamie Mullarkey's fighting in his hometown. People always cheer him on. I think he's going to throw big leg kicks. Honestly, I don't have a good breakdown for this, all right? I'm going with Jamie Mullarkey to win by decision. He's a slight favorite. I don't think Bedoya has KO upside. I don't think he has much power at all. And Mullarkey has only really faltered against guys that can potentially knock him out on the feet. So if Bedoya can't knock him out on the feet, and Bedoya's not going to mix in takedowns, I'm going with Jamie Mullarkey. Not my most confident pick, but I have to pick it, so going with Jamie Mullarkey. Next fight on the card is Micallef taking on Oban Elliott. As for the styles of these two guys, they are kind of a mirror matchup. They're both well-rounded fighters. Then they both can mix in takedowns. As for Micallef, I think if this gets to the ground, he's going to have the jiu-jitsu advantage. And I think Micallef on the feet will have the power advantage. Micallef is also going to have a 5-inch reach advantage. I do like his durability way more than Oban Elliott. Oban Elliott has 2 KO losses on his resume prior to entering the UFC. And since he's gotten into the UFC, he's been rocked, wobbled, or knocked down in every single performance. He also just got ragdolled and controlled for 10+ minutes by a South Korean fighter, Suk Young Ho, I think is his name. I was going to say Soo Young Yu, but I think it's Suk Young Ho. But yes, that is not a good look. So if Micallef wants to mix in takedowns, I think he'll have success there. If this stays standing, I think Micallef is live to get a KO blow on Oban Elliott. I'm not really sure how Oban wins this. The only way I think Oban wins this is if he mixes in takedowns, and Micallef is just a complete fish on the ground. But we've already seen that Micallef does pretty well off his back. That is a concern, though, because, maybe he does well off his back and Oban just controls him. That could be a thing. But other than that, I think every path to victory is available. For Micallef, the underdog, we're going with another one, Jonathan Micallef. I think he has big KO power on the feet. I think he throws a lot of big head kicks. I think one of them will land on Oban. I think Micallef can mix in takedowns. Oban has pretty poor takedown defense. And I think Micallef has the decision-winning upside. So I'm going with Jonathan Micallef to win by decision. Next fight on the card is Andre Petroski taking on Rowston. Now, I have a long breakdown here, but there's just a couple things you need to know. Number one, Rowston is coming off of a Dana White Contender Series knockout, which happened, I believe, about a month ago. And he's already making his UFC debut. So it's a very short turnaround for the guy. This is a striker versus grappler. Rowston is a city kickboxing guy. His name's the Battle Giraffe for a reason. He's going to have the huge size advantage. Basically, this comes down to, will Andre Petroski shoot for takedowns, number one? I'm not confident that he'll do so. He didn't really do so against Edmund Shabazian, and when he did, they were very poor takedown attempts. And number two, if Andre Petroski does shoot takedowns, will he actually have success with them? Well, Rowston got taken down and controlled by Torres Finney for that entire fight, but is Andre Petroski the same archetype as Torres Finney? I don't think so. It's also just impossible to trust Andre Petroski as a favorite, and it's just hard to trust him to do what he's supposed to do to win, which is, obviously in this fight, shoot a takedown. If this stays standing, Rowston, I believe, will find the finish, or at least will win a decision. So for all those reasons, I'm not trusting Petroski. I'm going with Rowston, the underdog. We cashed with him a few weeks ago on Contender Series as an underdog, and I'm looking to cash with him again this weekend as an underdog again. If he doesn't get taken down, he wins. That's basically it, and I don't really trust Petroski whatsoever, so Rowston it is. Next fight on the card is Navajo Stirling taking on Rodolfo Bellato. I have a lot written here, but ultimately, I don't see a world where you can take Rodolfo Bellato. Usually I give at least a little breakdown, but Rodolfo Bellato is one of the chinniest guys on the roster. He's yet to have a good UFC win, other than that Ihor Porteria comeback KO, I guess, but he nearly got KO'd by Porteria in that fight. Navajo Stirling is going to have the KO power. He's going to have the takedown upside. The only way I see Bellato winning this is if he gets a sneaky, rear naked choke on the ground, reverses position, because he's probably going to be the better grappler if it hits the ground. But other than that, Navajo should win the striking, and if he does, he should find the KO blow on one of the chinniest guys on the roster. Pretty confident pick, Navajo Stirling on the money line. Next fight on the card is Tom Nolan taking on Charlie Campbell. As for the styles of these guys, Tom Nolan is a powerful striker. He's got sneaky jiu-jitsu. And Charlie Campbell, honestly, when you watch him, he's kind of a finesse fighter. You know, he's just like moving around the pocket, slapping you with a leg kick, slapping you with a jab. Mainly a striker. He's got no submission wins, but he does have sneaky jiu-jitsu. He nearly got a rear naked choke against Trevor Peek at the shot clock in their fight. If you were to pick Charlie Campbell, it would be because he has the KO upside, and Tom Nolan has a chin that's made of glass. Tom Nolan, whenever he's fought someone that has any power in the hands, he gets rocked, he gets wobbled, he gets knocked down, and ultimately gets knocked out. Against Charlie Campbell is going to have power in the hands. So if this stays standing, I'm anticipating Charlie Campbell being able to knock out Tom Nolan. Now, if this were to go to the ground, I do like Tom Nolan's jiu-jitsu. All right, I do like Tom Nolan's takedowns. Tom Nolan is going to be 5 years younger. He will have the size advantage. Tom Nolan also has power himself. So if this goes into grappling, I also like Charlie Campbell. All right, like I said, he's got sneaky jiu-jitsu. So for all those reasons, on the feet, I like Charlie Campbell. On the ground, I like Charlie Campbell. I'm not really seeing how Tom Nolan wins this. Give me Charlie Campbell, the underdog. Another one to win by knockout. If it stays standing, I'm anticipating a Charlie Campbell knockout. And if it goes to the ground, I can even see Charlie Campbell having success in the grappling, maybe even finding a sub. Tom Nolan has been getting fed absolute cans to win in the UFC. Charlie Campbell is on like the cusp of being a can. He's the cusp of being a good fighter. And I think someone like this is going to give Tom Nolan problems. So give me Charlie Campbell to win as the underdog. Next fight on the card is Louis Sutherland taking on Justin Tafa. I'm not breaking this down for 10 minutes. Basically, Louis Sutherland is making his UFC debut. Justin Tafa has no grappling whatsoever. So if Louis Sutherland, like I've seen on the tape, he can mix in takedowns. He mixes in the clinch. If Louis Sutherland can get a takedown, he will win this fight. Justin Tafa has no ground game whatsoever. Louis Sutherland, I am concerned though. He has not a lot of head movement. He's not really quick on the feet. He's one of those typical big, chubby heavyweights that don't move. And Justin Tafa, low-key, usually has success against chubby heavyweights that don't move. But I've seen Louis Sutherland get takedowns. He's fought in the PFL. He's fought in Bellator. This is low-level heavyweight. He is the underdog. I'm going with Louis Sutherland. Not a confident pick whatsoever at all. In a million years, no. It is his UFC debut. He could be just awful. But, you know, Justin Tafa I don't think is good at all. But if Justin Tafa were to win, it would be against a guy like Louis Sutherland. That's the problem. I mean, he's being like Parker Porter and like Louis Sutherland kind of fits the Parker Porter archetype. But I just can't pick Justin Tafa to win a fight. And I'm going with Louis Sutherland. Not a confident pick at all. Louis Sutherland isn't a good heavyweight. This is not because I like Louis Sutherland. It's simply because I don't like Justin Tafa. Next fight on the card is Jake Matthews taking on Neil Magny. Now, for the styles of these guys, they are mirror matchups, in my opinion. They're both well-rounded MMA fighters. They both have good jiu-jitsu, and they both enjoy the clinch. As for reasons to pick, well, Jake Matthews is 7 years younger. He will be fighting in his hometown. And if you look over his resume, he's only really lost to heavy hitters, which Neil Magny is not, or high-level grapplers, which Neil Magny kind of is. So Neil Magny just came off an UNC performance against Elisha dos Santos. Can he do it again against Jake Matthews? He does have the height and reach advantages as well, and Jake Matthews doesn't really have KO power, which is the only type of fighter that Neil Magny kind of loses to. So Jake Matthews is going to need to have grappling success, I think, to win this fight. If it stays at range, I think Jake Matthews can also win a volume-based decision. Neil Magny's takedown defense is not that good. His striking defense is not that good. Jake Matthews will be quicker on the feet as well. I like Jake Matthews' career trajectory more than I like Neil Magny's, and I think this is just way too late in Jake Matthews' career for the Neil Magny test. Usually you get the Neil Magny test 4 or 5 fights in to the UFC run, but now Jake Matthews is like 15 fights in and is fighting Neil Magny. I think this is just a weird matchup, number one. seems like a tailor-made Jake Matthews W number 2, and it seems like they've done this simply because they're in Perth. So for all those reasons, I'm going with Jake Matthews to win by decision. The odds are kind of crazy. -400 for a guy that doesn't really have KO power, for a guy that doesn't really have much finishing upside. That is kind of nuts to bet on. But for a pick, I mean, he is the younger guy. He's going to be quicker on the feet. He should win this fight. Next fight on the card is Jack Jenkins taking on Ramon Tavares. Now, Jack Jenkins is a leg kick merchant, and he can mix in a takedown. I'm not really sure what else he does, all right? But the thing is, his leg kicks are very effective, and when he does go for takedowns, they're pretty effective as well. As for Ramon Tavares, he is a high-power striker, and he pressures forward, but I'm also not sure what he does. This is like the battle of, what the hell do these guys do? I mean, they're not really proficient in jiu-jitsu. They're not really super KO power punchers at the UFC level. So when they face off against each other, what's going to happen? Ramon Tavares doesn't really mix in takedowns, and Jack Jenkins has only really faltered against guys that want to take him to the mat. Ramon does have 3 wins by sub, but he's yet to shoot a takedown in the UFC. He also just got doubled up on strikes by Davey Grant. Davey Grant, who mixed in a lot of leg kicks in that fight. So if Jack Jenkins just does the Davey Grant method and just fire leg kicks at Ramon Tavares repeatedly, don't get clipped by a big shot, Jack Jenkins should win this by decision. So I'm going with Jack Jenkins to win this by decision. I like his durability. All right, I think he only has 1 KO loss, and it was because of an arm injury. He's not really been truly starched. As for Ramon Tavares, he has 2 KO losses. I question his durability, and he has no real ability to shoot a takedown, or at least we haven't seen it yet. So at +240, I would at least like to know that you have the ability to mix in a takedown, but I've yet to see that out of Ramon, so I'm going with Jack Jenkins, the leg kick merchant, to win by decision. In the co-main event, we got Jimmy Crute taking on Ivan Arslan. For a co-main event, you would think I have a long breakdown, a lot of things to say, but it's pretty simple. Jimmy Crute is a round 1 finish merchant or bust, and Ivan Arslan is a complete question mark in the UFC. What we do know is Ivan Arslan has been taken down 3 times in both of his UFC fights. Navajo Stirling got 3 takedowns on him, and Navajo Stirling isn't a takedown guy. Jan Kudalaba got 3 takedowns on him, and Jan Kudalaba doesn't really shoot takedowns that often in his fights. Jimmy Crute will shoot takedowns in this fight. If Jimmy Crute gets the takedowns, I believe he will eventually find the submission. It's a very similar breakdown to Jimmy Crute versus Marcin Prachniow, except Ivan Arslan actually has some KO power. So, if Jimmy Crute entertains the striking, Ivan Arslan is very live to win by KO. But Jimmy Crute, UFC experience edge. He's going to have the reach advantage. He's going to be the hometown fighter. I think there's a reason this is the co-main event. I'm going with Jimmy Crute to win by finish. I'm predicting a sub. I don't think he'll be able to knock out Ivan Arslan. I'm saying round 2 sub. If you look back at Arslan's fights, he did not get taken down in round 1. It seems that his cardio and gas tank holds up for at least 1 round, just like Crute. So if this extends into round 2, usually you wouldn't like Crute in that spot, but against a guy like Ivan Arslan specifically, I like Crute to get takedowns later in the fight, and therefore I'm actually going with a round 2 submission for Mr. Crute. And the main event of the evening, CARLOS ULBERG taking on Dominick Reyes. I have a lot written here, but basically what you guys need to know is I'm a Dominick Reyes lover, all right? I'm a Dominick Reyes stan. I'm a Dominick Reyes fan. Anything this guy does, I will support, all right? There were a couple fights ago when he fought Dustin Jacoby that I kind of went all in on Dustin Jacoby. I thought Dominick Reyes was finished. Dominick Reyes goes out there and knocks out Dustin Jacoby in round 1. Ever since then, the career resurgence is back on. The career renaissance has reloaded, and my affection and love towards this man is at an all-time high. If Dominick Reyes wins this fight, he should get a title shot. I mean, I think the winner of this fight regardless should get a title shot, but that would be insane. What an insane career turnaround. Losing to John Jones by split robbery majority draw decision. Losing multiple fights in a row by KO after. Winning multiple fights in a row. And then going all the way back to regain the title. That would be cinema. My problem is CARLOS ULBERG has KO power. And when Dominick Reyes gets put up against a guy with KO power, I get very concerned very quickly. His chin is not that good. But what I do like, Ulberg is mainly a counter fighter. Dominick Reyes is mainly a counter fighter. So if you have two counter fighters fighting each other, I think that's recipe for number one, a decision. So I like the over in this fight. Number two, not a lot of strikes will be thrown, so the bigger shots will be counted more. I think Dominick Reyes will land the bigger shots. And number three, Dominick Reyes has 5-round main event experience. Dominick Reyes has more UFC experience in general. Dominick Reyes has fought the better brand of competition, and CARLOS ULBERG, in his 2 recent step-ups in comp against Ozdemir and against Jan Blachowicz, looked like a kind of a shell of himself. I could have argued either fight go to Ozdemir or Jan. I mean, I'm not saying it was robberies, but the fights were decided on razor-thin margins. Ulberg doesn't shoot takedowns. He doesn't mix martial arts. Dominick Reyes at least will potentially shoot a takedown. He can mix the martial arts. I'm going with Dominick. I'm going with Dominick Reyes. That's it. It is what it is. Whether or not I have a bet on Dominick Reyes, different story. But this is just one of those fights where it's a crossroad fight. If Dominick Reyes wins, he's getting a title shot. If he loses, he's probably done. Honestly, it was a fun run, but I'm going with Dominick Reyes. It would be very upsetting to see him lose by starched KO. And if he doesn't lose by KO early, I think this is Dominick Reyes all day. So Dominick Reyes. It is biased pick, but I low-key like the pick anyway. As for my confident takes on the card, if you've been following every week, you've been knowing that these have been hitting at a very, very high clip. I wish I actually tracked it, but I don't. Navajo Stirling moneyline. I don't think there's a way Rodolfo Bellato wins that fight. I just don't. Maybe a come from behind submission, but Navajo should win. And Jimmy Crute moneyline. Not really sure what Ivan Ursulan is good at, other than maybe landing one big shot on Crute, but if Crute just doesn't get hit with a big shot, he should win. And I'm taking him by sub as well. Now for my sneaky takes. This is basically a list of almost every underdog I've picked. Not everyone, but almost everyone. Luana Carolina. I think if it stays standing against Michelle Montague, she wins. Colby Thicknesse. If he mixes in takedowns, he wins. Jonathan Micallef. I think he actually has every path to victory, so there's that. Cam Rowston. If it stays standing, he wins. Charlie Campbell. I also think he has every path to victory, so I like him as well. I'm liking these dogs. There's a couple dogs I didn't put on here, like Louis Sutherland. I don't know if I'm actually going to be betting him. I'm strictly a fade on Justin Tafa. I also didn't include Snack Panther, Elisha Ellison. I might, put a bet on him as well. I also didn't include Dominick Reyes because I admitted that's a biased pick. So I like these dogs. I like these favorites. Let's make some money. Leave a like, a comment, and subscribe.